Unity is not uniformity. It is everybody being on the same agenda. And he says the Holy Spirit is the emulsifier. He is the link. And the more you can get spiritual unity, the more of God you can experience in our lives, in our homes, and most certainly in our world. Unity is oneness of purpose. It is moving in the same direction because you want God involved in the legitimacy of the goal.
Welcome to Tony Evans Daily. Real faith, real purpose, every single day. Let's get into today's message.
These ants are committed to a queen, and they're building a kingdom on my lawn. When these ants build this kingdom on my lawn, killing the grass in the sphere of where they are raising their kingdom in service to their queen, they fight being disrupted. If they're red ants, they gonna bite. Because they don't want their kingdom that's disrupting your lawn kingdom to be interfered with, because they've got a queen to serve. You and I have a king to serve. But there is an enemy who wants to disrupt the life of God with his own kingdom agenda, with his own program. And one of the chief ways that this enemy seeks to disrupt the program of God and keep us from him, even though God invites us over and over to return to him, is through promoting disunity. Amen. Disunity is one of the enemy's chief ways of keeping God at bay. Far too many, particularly Christians, are unaware of the spiritual implications of disunity and how that keeps us from God. And I want to talk to you today about this issue of unity because it is such a cultural calamity today. We are finding disunity on every level of life. First of all, more and more people are disunified with themselves. And if you can't get along with you, then it's going to be hard for anybody else to get along with you either. The discontinuity of self with self, of people not being able to function in harmony with their own being, has created disruption everywhere. Amen. See, if I don't like me, I don't mind hurting you, because I don't even get along with me. Not only is there disunity within our own humanity, increasingly, as we all know, disunity has become the mantra of the family structure. Whether it is abuse, conflict, disruption, divorce, disrespect, lovelessness, this fraying, fracturing, and fissuring of the family has created cultural havoc in society. God established the family as the foundational unit for the ordering of society. So the fracturing of family between mates, between parents and children, between siblings, and on and on and on has created chaos in a generation that is either fatherless or parentless and are growing up with wrong influences in the culture. And now, of course, we're on the precipice of international disunity that is threatening the very existence of humanity from a human point of view. This is no small subject because of the nature of God. In Ephesians chapter 4, the Apostle Paul says in verse 3, "Be diligent to preserve the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. Be diligent, be on target, prioritize. Don't marginalize the unity of the Spirit. Let me pause there for a moment. He says unity is a spiritual issue. The unity of the Spirit. Which means if you're not spiritual, then your propensity for disunity has exponentially increased. Amen. Let's put it another way. The more spiritual you are, the more unified you're likely to be. The more non-spiritual you are, the more disunifying you're likely to be or become. For he calls it the unity of the Spirit. So therefore, wherever you see disunity being normalized, the Spirit is missing. When a husband and wife decide to get a divorce, one or both parties have left the Spirit, even though both may be Christians. When churches divide, somebody has left the Spirit, because it is the Spirit's unity. He says, preserve the unity that belongs in the Spirit in the bond. The word bond means belt. Like a belt holds up your trousers. He says, be unified in the Spirit with a belt that holds together order or peace. So if you're living in conflict with somebody that you haven't talked to for 10 years and 20 years and 30 years because of something that happened back there, your belt is unhooked. Because he calls it the belt of peace, which means the Spirit is missing. He goes on to give his theological understanding of unity. He says in verse 4, there is one body, one Spirit, just as you were created in one hope of your calling, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father, who is over all and through all and in all. The word is the word one. One. Unity may be defined as oneness of purpose. Unity is oneness of purpose. Unity is not sameness of persons. It's oneness of purpose. He brings the Godhead into this. He talks about the Spirit and the Lord and God. And to understand why this is a big deal, you have to understand theology proper. Theology proper starts with the triune God. One God composed of three co-equal persons, Father, Son, Spirit, who are one in essence while being distinct in personhood. Amen. The Father is not the Son is not the Spirit, but they all three together make up the one Godhead. All of the ingredients of Godhead belongs to all three members of the Godhead. Amen. But while each of the members of the Godhead are distinct as persons, they are not distinct in purpose. The unity of the Godhead is their oneness of purpose as they share in the same divine nature. The only time there was a breach in this was on the cross when Jesus said, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? So you have a disruption of sorts that takes place. And I don't, God would have to explain how God could stop being God without stopping to be God so he could be God for us. Because there is this Trinitarian hell that takes place on the cross. But the unity of the Godhead is the key to the unity that he has placed in humanity. The enemy understands that God functions in a unified way. Therefore, if he wants to keep God out, he creates dysfunction. Because he knows God won't show up and show off where disunity has been normalized. So if he can get you fussing, cussing, and fighting within yourself, within your home, within the nation or the races or the culture, if he can do that, then he knows God won't hear your prayers.